As an avid book reader, you've probably got a pile of books that you've had for a while that you haven't been able to read yet, but you're going to get around to reading them at some point. And I'm no different. So what I wanted to do was to give you a little bit of insight into the books that I have still got to read that I have accumulated over the past year or so. So I got these a year ago as either a Christmas present or a birthday present of one of my daughters. I've actually read the books previously, but I had a clear out a few years back, and I got rid of a lot of books that I'd kept for a good few years, and I wished I hadn't now. So I decided to get them all again. I got the complete box set of all of Harry Potter books. Still need to read them, but they're not priority because I've read them all before, I've seen the films all before. Similarly with Twilight series, my daughter used to have these and I borrowed them and I read them, but I wanted to own my own version. So I've also got the Game of Thrones books, the entire collection so far. Still waiting for the last two. Come on, George, get your finger out. I've had this, I got it again, I think this was a birthday present off my daughter quite a few years ago now, and I just kept it in a cupboard and I didn't get round to reading it. But this year I've actually read the first three. I've still got the last four to read, and then I got distracted and I started reading other stuff. So I need to go back to them at some point. I've just recently acquired these. I saw someone talking about them on TikTok, so I thought I'd get them and read them at some point. Banished lands have a violent past where armies of men and giants clashed in battle. So John Green, I don't know who he is. I've never read any of his books before, but they look quite interesting. I'm going to be writing a fantasy series at some point, so I'm collecting a few fantasy series books because I want to read them and kind of get into that world. Also bought Joe Abercrombie's The Blade Itself, Before They Are Hanged, and the last Argument of Kings. Logan Ninefingers, infamous barbarian, has finally run out of luck. Caught up in one feud too many, he's about to become a dead barbarian, leaving nothing behind but bad songs and dead friends. Again, I saw this being talked about on social media, so I decided to buy that. Yeah, I haven't started that either, so at some point, I don't know when I'm going to be reading these books, but they're on my to-be read list. The Divergent series, again, I read my daughter's copies of those. So these advertised on TikTok, went on Amazon, and they were cheaper on Amazon actually. So I bought that, the Assassin's Blade. So again, that's a big series to be getting involved with straight away. So I'm going to probably read that at some point. I don't know when. I've had some books I've had for a good few years. I acquired these two books years and years ago, and they've just sat in a drawer. Again, well, these are like kind of historical Viking, Roman kind of stuff. I was into that a little while ago, and I intend kind of reading these at some point because I want to. My fantasy series that I am going to write is going to be, I wouldn't say kind of Game of Thrones ish, but it's it's all about kings, queens, people doing each other over, that type of thing. So I just wanted to kind of get a mindset of getting into that world and reading some books about that. So I've had those books for God knows how long. Similarly, that's why I have bought these two books, Boudica and Joan of Arc. So I intend reading up on these two fantastic women from history because one of my main characters in my fantasy series is going to be kind of, I'm thinking, based on one or either or both of these kind of characters. So I wanted to get an idea of what their life was all about, the historical aspects of what they achieved, and kind of base one of my characters on either a combination of those two characters at some point. I've also got this book, which I've had for quite a long time. It's the Stargate Conspiracy. It's all about kind of conspiracies and Egyptian gods and all that type of thing. So it just tickled me fancy at the time, but I literally haven't had time to read it. So it's just sitting there doing nothing. One of the book series that I have been reading this year is Rebecca Yarros's The Fourth Wing. So I've read the first two books. I'm currently reading the third book. As you can see, I haven't read a lot of it yet. I'm a bit kind of torn between this book, this series of books. First one I absolutely loved. It was great. Second one, I thought it was overly long. It just dragged on. It kind of repeated the same kind of sentiment over and over again. I got a little bit bored with it. So it took me quite a while to read Iron Flame. And then I'm reading Onyx Storm. Like I say, I haven't read much of that one yet. And I believe there's a fourth one coming out at some point early this year, 2026. So I'll probably be getting that one as well, just because I don't want to leave that series incomplete. I've had this book in a drawer for years as well. It's called The Corner, and it's a year in the life of an inner city neighborhood. And it follows like drug dealers and all those types of miscreants around this neighborhood. And it was from the creators of The Wire, which I've never seen. But I fancied that. I just fancied that reading that at the time. Again, haven't read it, so that's just sitting there to be read. And I've just recently acquired these books by Cormac McCarthy, Blood Meridian, No Country for Old Men, and The Road. So I'm looking forward to reading those. I've also, which has just arrived today, a copy of George Orwell's Animal Farm. Now, I recently read 1984, but I've always wanted to read Animal Farm. I was a little bit surprised. I knew it was only a short book, but at 95 pages, that's not even a novella, to be honest. But anyway, I'm looking forward to reading that one as well. So those are the books that I've got to read at the moment. No doubt I'll be buying some more this year. But I'm an author, so I am trying to write my own stuff. So trying to read stuff as well as write stuff is a bit time consuming. So at some point, I'm going to attempt to read some of these whilst writing my own books.